DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AMA with DeFi Kingdoms. We are going to be getting started here and going through a few updates and then getting into some questions. I will apologize in advance. While I am feeling better, I still have a cough, so if at any point I randomly stop talking and mute and disappear for a second, it's because I'm coughing. I'll be right back. Aside from that, we unfortunately do not have Winston here with us this week to do a PvP bout. However, we had a couple of lovely community members, Mega and Kurt, volunteer to run a couple during the AMA for us. So the first one starts in 7 minutes, and then there's another one that starts 10 minutes later, so 17 minutes from now. Make sure you go in and get your votes in on those, and then we will screen share them as well when the time comes so that we can all watch and enjoy them together. So very much looking forward to that. There's a couple other bouts that will be running during the AMA, and so depending on how things go, we might watch them too, and whoever those combatants are. But for right now, to kick things off, I am going to first pass it over to Fox to talk about an upcoming Avalanche upgrade.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel like I'm not I'm pretty well informed on this, but Magnus is like the most informed, and it's a shame he's not here. But basically, Avalanche is releasing their Etna upgrade. They've already launched it on testnet. They have announced a launch date for mainnet, which is the 16th, or I guess a cutover date, or whatever it is for that. It's actually already live and available to be upgraded to, in a way. So if you do have a node or a validator, or like RPC or anything for our chain, make sure to go and get that upgrade done, because I think on the 16th, if you're not upgraded, then your validator or RPC node will just sort of stop. So it's really important that you get that done. We are in the process of upgrading our nodes right now. We also have a few partners that we work with for validators that are working on that as well. So we're excited about that. It's also called Avalanche 9000. So this upgrade, that's just sort of like the branding for it. But it's a really exciting upgrade. There's a lot of really cool things in it. And I think there's actually a question later about it, so maybe I won't dive too much into it. But just for the update portion, make sure to get your nodes, RPCs, validators updated before the 16th.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Don't go too far, because I'm going to throw it right back to you to talk Synapse.
Okay.
And bridging.
Is this so? Yeah, just sort of a general situation status of Synapse.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Synapse is our hero bridge. Also, we use them for blue chips, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other things that are being bridged into our ecosystem. And there was some issues last week and a little bit over the holiday where some heroes got stuck. So we did reach out to Synapse, and they got the vast majority of them fixed and unstuck. There was a few that we were able to fix ourselves that got stuck, a little bit extra stuck than usual. And then there's 3 right now that are even more stuck. So all of the heroes are fixed except for those 3 right now. And I'm actually working on that right now. As of I just pushed some updates like a few minutes ago, basically. So we need to get those upgrades signed by our multi-sig devs, and then hopefully we can push those ones through. It's kind of a complex situation with those heroes where there's an old issue that those heroes had a bad state with their equipment that most heroes don't have. So it's kind of like an edge case. But once those are fixed, I think we're golden and everything will be unstuck. And, we've also been sort of like trying to look and see what we can do to sort of like make sure we have less and less of these things, and if they do happen, they can be fixed very quickly, or even be able to be fixed by you yourselves. And actually, that's one thing that Layer 0 does very well. They have an explorer. You can see the status of your bridges. If it gets stuck or has an error, it'll tell you. And also, they have a little button there to retry it. Sometimes that just works. In fact, most of the times that just works. We also put a little thing in our Slack that anytime a bridge fails on Synapse, it'll alert us. So we'll immediately have a look at that and see if there's anything that we need to do, or if we just have to like retry it. Sometimes that'll just work too. And it's only really had, I think, maybe 1 or 2 instances that's actually even had any issues, and it was pretty easy to fix really quickly because of us having that system. So really like that. I also built a proof of concept interface thing that will sort of like show you all of your bridges, and it'll show you like sort of like your bridge history with like Layer 0, because they have a really good API. And so it's not live yet, but I did push up a PR for it. So maybe when Beetle or like Mr. Zipper or somebody gets some time to have a look at it, that might be something that we could eventually get into your hands as well, just so you can have more visibility into all of your bridges and where they're at and what the status is and what was being bridged. So we're currently working on a longer term solution for the situation with hero bridging. And I've actually written a bunch of code for that already, and it's in the final stages of testing right now. I can't say anything more about it right now, but we are really like trying to focus on this issue because it's a very important issue. That's all I'll say for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Fox. Let's see. One thing from me real quick. We saw people reporting, particularly last week, some additional latency in hunts. We did see those reports and start investigating. Part of that was due to a switchover that we made to maximize storage of like old hunts for replays and things. So I believe the vast majority of that really has already cleared, but it is something that we're still monitoring, keeping an eye on, and always looking to improve to make that experience as smooth as possible. But thank you to everybody who did report it. The reports are always very helpful to make sure that we see what's happening. So thank you all. Let's see. Going to pass it over to Hubert for a minute to talk about balance changes.
Hey guys, happy to be here for another AMA. Let's see. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of work on a lot of things in the background. I've been mentioning in our Discord every once in a while that we had a big list of balance changes that we're working on, and know now also that we are working on patrols. And right now we've implemented, I think, most of the balance changes that I had initially on that list, and are now testing to see if it's in a good spot. Also, there's probably going to be at least a couple more changes before we are going to be releasing anything, just like after we've gotten into patrols, and we're now testing with that as well. I think there's a couple skills in particular that I think are going to require some adjustment for how they behave at lower levels. So still working through that, but I think we're making a lot of good progress. Things are being in like a testing state is really great. And I think, it may end up being that we're going to wait to do the balance change releasing until also patrols, just have them come out together. But we'll see. Maybe we could do it beforehand, but just, it may make sense to just do it all together. So anyway, that's kind of where things are at with that. It looks like we got ourselves a battle starting up here. Bullen trying to figure out the right.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to find a better layout for this. But yes, we do have our first battle of the AMA beginning. So we've got Mega and Kurt Kurt, whose last name I mispronounce apparently every time. So, but very excited for this. So make sure you keep an eye on it and enjoy watching these two battle it out while we keep going.
If you weren't pronouncing it Hokage, what were you saying?
Hokage.
Wow.
I specifically didn't say it too. Thank you. You just had to help me out. To answer Charles, who commented on Twitter, hopefully he's listening. Yes, this battle feature is absolutely live to play. And yes, apparently I do need to watch the first episode of Naruto. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm the wrong kind of nerd. I'm sorry. We're going to move on. We're going to keep going because this has become pile on bull on hour. We're going to go back over actually to Fox to talk about duels.
I was just like wanting to hear you try to pronounce it, but now I guess that opportunity's gone. Probably Hokage or something. Let's see.
I was saying Hokage, but apparently listen, let's talk about duels, okay? Let's talk about duels.
No, let's not talk about duels. Okay. I am a huge fan of all of the foxtails going on here in this fight. But no, duels, yeah. So we did launch a new season of duels recently. There was some like reports last season of like what I guess like some people are calling shrimp accounts, being able to rise up the ranks higher than what you would think would be justified. And it's not really anything like nefarious per se. It's actually just like how the engine works and some people coordinating their teams to kind of like try to take advantage of that. And it's happening again this season, which kind of pissed me off. So I went in this week actually and made some more changes to it, some more tweaks. And the stuff that we did should help to alleviate it. I've been kind of trying to like monitor things, and it seems like it has helped a lot. Basically, there's a few things that make it so that you can't submit as many like entries at a time, which was sort of like a feature, not a bug, but it was allowing too much to be submitted at a time for the matchmaking engine to be as effective as it should be. So I sort of lowered that a little bit, and that should help alleviate some things there. And then also the score gains that like you can get. We sort of talked a lot about this back and forth in our tokenomics committee about what we should do for duels, because a lot of people in our community are even saying like, what's up with duels? It's like a mini game, but it also has one of the highest ROI things in our game if you look at the current value of like the rewards that you can get from the ranks. And so, that's not necessarily ideal. Like as a mini game, it shouldn't be like, hey, if you really want to get these super high end items, play our mini game. But we also have all these other really cool things out like combat and PvP and hunts and all that type of stuff. So that's not really what the intention was. So we did talk a lot about what to do. A lot of people in the community were saying, should we just sunset duels? Or like, what should we do? And so we sort of talked about it. We decided like, we like duels. We don't want to just sunset it. It's a cool feature. A lot of people enjoy it. There's just like some tweaks that need to be made to like the rank rewards to make sure it's in line with how it is for the rest of the game. So we haven't officially voted on that yet, I think, but we have some pretty good ideas of what we want to do. And it's not going to be anything too crazy, depending on how you look at it, I guess. But those will go into effect next season, not this season, because we don't really want to change those mid-season. But just an FYI that we are actively looking at those things and making sure things are balanced. And then the other change that I made to try to address the current issue, like with duels, where you're sort of like seeing smaller hero teams that are rising up the ranks too high, was we put sort of a score cap increase, or a score increase cap, I should say, on how much you can gain off of one round based on the hero power of your team. So if you are doing lower level teams, you'll have to grind it a little bit, or actually a lot of bit like longer, to be able to get those same increases. it's going to be way more efficient if you're just using proper teams. So that's just FYI. That's a change that we've made. We don't usually make those kinds of changes mid-season, but I think it merits it in this case. So that's where it's at right now. And of course, we'll always still be monitoring things throughout the season. If you guys see things that are weird, let me know. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Man, we got Kurt's priest here hanging on by a thread. And he just took out one of Mega's heroes too. This has been a good battle so far. I hope you've all been watching and enjoying it while also listening. But yeah, this has been really cool so far, and huge shout out again to Mega and Kurt for being willing to fight a couple battles for us during the AMA while Winston's away. Cool. So with that, excuse me, we are going to shift from updates into some questions. If there are any questions from the updates that we've given, drop them in chat and I'll try to grab them in real time as well. But otherwise, we're going to go to the questions that have been submitted thus far. Today's AMA is going to very heavily feature Hubert Cumberdale, as most do, but this one I would say even a little bit more. So, Hubert, I hope you're ready. Kicking things off. Are loot drops for patrols a combination of some amount of gold and a chance for rare equipment drops, or something else?
Yes. So yeah, pretty much the first thing. I'd say that there may be other things besides just equipment and gold, but that's the general idea, is that there will be some very rare things that you can get sometimes, and guaranteed rewards in gold and experience, and some things that may drop that are not quite as rare.
I'm gonna ask my own follow-up question because I'm curious what you say to it, because I think it's really cool, but I don't know if you want to say it yet. How are the chances for the items determined?
So yeah, I think I have mentioned that before, but when I first gave an overview of how patrols works, is like everything is based on the enemies you're fighting. Like every enemy has its own loot table. And at the end, it's going to basically look at every enemy that you fought and then roll for chances on the loot tables of those specific enemies. So if you fight a particular thing a lot, your chances of getting its rare item is going to be, higher than like something that maybe you only fought one of them. Or, there might be things that you just didn't even fight at all. And so you won't have a chance at the loot that they drop at that time. So it kind of works like that. And also, I guess I did mention as well previously, but I'll just go into that detail again. But luck in this system is going to be based on how lucky your hero is for their level, rather than how it's working for hunts right now, where it's just looking at the raw luck value. So if your heroes are like very lucky for their level, even if they're like level 3 and they just have really high luck, maybe use greater luck stones, they're going to have better drop rates than like a level 20 team that may have like 3 times as much luck, but like for that level, the luck is quite low, or something like that. So it's going to be using dynamic luck for its influence on rare rewards.
Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations to Kurt. He won that last bout and took it home. And now we are on to bout 2, also featuring Mega v Kurt. So we'll see if Mega can make up for it after that first loss. All right, let's see. What can you say about the skills of the enemies we might encounter on patrol? Would they be of the same class as heroes are potentially, or more unique things like the Void Hunt enemies who have their unique repertoire of abilities? Also, shout out for the usage of the word repertoire.
That is a good word to try to use. Everyone should use it more. So there has been a little bit of inspiration on some of the skills that have come from the classes that exist or may exist in the future. But by and large, we did want it to feel like each enemy had their own identity. And I think we've kind of knocked that out of the park, I'd say. really looking forward to seeing all the great animations and VFX that our art team has come up with. Some of it is like really top class, just super, like, just want to do patrols just to watch the VFX, honestly. But yeah, so there will be some skills among them though that are, you know, you might seem similar to something that a knight does or something that another class does. But yeah, in general, you know, we also made the enemies a little bit more, you know, they're supposed to be more of your random encounter scrub type enemy, so like they're not tuned to work together as like a team of 3 that do like a specific amount of mechanics that you have to overcome in a specific way. So it's not as hard as like, you know, void hunts, which are very tuned to be like a really challenging fight all the time.
Awesome. Which actually also kind of answers another question of if we're expecting the gameplay to be more straightforward using the abilities the heroes gained so far as opposed to hunts. So that was a little 2 for 1. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'll say on that too, especially for like the lower levels, like there won't be too many options available to you. You know, like level 1, you have just the first skill that your hero can get and your traits. So like you don't have a lot of options anyway. But so it should be pretty straightforward, especially in the first, you know, if you're using low level heroes into the low level fights.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this time it's Mega's hero hanging on by a thread, but goes down from the retaliate damage. Oh, man. Oh, nope. Not over yet, though. This has been a very good match to watch as well. Speaking of watching matches, actually, our next question, any thoughts on having in PvP an optional, like additional display name? So, for example, I'm going to actually use Kurt Hokage. You know, Kurt Hokage is what he's pretty much known on in Discord and Twitter and elsewhere, but his in-game name is DeFi Purgatory. So having the option to post a second name for the recognition standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. I wonder, you know, I think what we would be most concerned about would be, you know, how we would, I guess, monitor that and prevent anything from being too outrageous, like people posting links or like very offensive names and things like that. So I think that would be the one thing that we'd maybe want to like really think about before we went down a road down that road. But you know, I think it's possible. I just don't know if it's something that we would really focus on.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to Kurt, by the way, for taking home both of those matches. Well played, and well played, Mega, as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. So giving Hubert a break for a moment, we talked about the Avalanche network upgrade that's upcoming a little bit in the updates. There is also a question, are we planning on making use of the upgrade and the related programs that have launched? So going to pass over, I guess, Fox to talk about the upgrade itself and Sunbear to chime in on those related programs.
Okay. Yeah, so I sort of alluded to this in my update earlier, but Avalanche 9000, aka Etna, has a lot of really, really cool things in it that have been in the works for over a year. And it's stuff that like we've been sort of like very closely following since it was first proposed, I guess. So one of the main updates is it's basically really lowering the barrier of entry for projects that want to have their own L1. Currently, you have to have 2,000 a box to stake for each validator that you want to have. And usually they recommend at least 5 validators. So that's like 10,000 a box. Ours has 8 validators. So, you know, there's just a lot of upfront capital that you have to invest for something like that. So they're basically removing that requirement and saying, instead of that, we'll do sort of like a service-based fee that is sort of like in charge of like cross-chain messaging and configuration things with the subnets, things like that. But it significantly lowers that barrier of entry. So they're really trying to go after a lot of projects to come and build L1s. And I think it's going to be great. And that's part of what their Retro 9000 grant program does as well, which I'll let Sunbear talk a little bit more about. But from the standpoint of just the upgrade, we for sure are going to be transitioning to the new style of subnet where we basically can be in more control of our subnets in terms of how we want to set up the staking in order to be a validator. And that will allow our community potentially, if any of you guys want to help us validate, or like if there's other individuals out there that would like to participate in that, it really lowers the barrier of entry for you guys as well. So that's a thing that I'm really excited about, because it's one step further towards us really becoming an actual like community-owned validation set, which I think would be amazing. It's like you play the game, you also validate and control this game. So that's really the end goal that I've had for a long time. So there's that. The other part of that is currently how we have it set up. As most of you know, we were the first L1 of Avalanche. And we sort of like pioneered a lot of things there. And at that time, the recommended way to do it was to have a control key for your subnet. And so we've basically just been using that to sort of like manage the validator set and who's able to validate and sort of like what the weightings are and all that type of stuff, which has been good. But this upgrade allows us to basically replace that with a smart contract. And so we are definitely planning to upgrade and transition over to that method, because it's a lot more secure and a lot more like decentralized as well. And it allows us to have more security around that. So it's just an extra layer of like, instead of just having a single key, it's like, let's split that up into a bunch of different ones. So I'm really excited about that. That's been a thing that we've been very, very extremely careful with over the past like 2+ years that we've had this L1. But after this upgrade, it's going to just get that much more secure. So it's sort of like a nerdy thing, but it's like, that is actually probably the thing that I'm the most excited about, because it's just more security. It's important. And there's a handful of other like really cool things in there as well, but those are the two main ones that I'm stoked about. Sunbear, I'll let you talk a little bit more about like the programs and how like we've been working with Avalanche along the way and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Fox. I mean, as you know, we've really connected more with Avalanche over the last several weeks, if not months. Examples, going to Argentina to the summit, having them bring us down there and connect to a lot of the, the influencers that we're most closely connected to, really building relationships with our ambassadors and like the wayfinders and things like that. And just, really solidifying even more that relationship with them, especially as they're doing these new innovative things like Avalanche 9000. And we've, been in conversations with them very early about some of those benefits. We're very sold early on, as Fox mentioned, for a lot of the technological benefits, like you said, more power to give up power, to become more decentralized and really make the chain look how we want it to. And to release that Vox that's been tied up in validating C chain, which is also a nice bonus for our treasury and whatnot. As far as the programs go, they really focused more on the early acquisition or new acquisition programs to bring in, to really break those barriers down, to bring in new L1s. And then just recently, about a week and a half ago, started taking applications for the retro grants. Still learning exactly what that means for us. Given that we're already moving forward, we want to make sure that we capitalize on any of those grants that are related to making some of those shift overs. As we speak, actually, Dreamer is at an Avalanche event connected to Art Basel down in Miami, and I've charged him with finding more out in person as he can there. And then we're also doing some follow-up meetings with Avalanche folks to get more information there about what that specifically can mean for us. What I do know is that the more decentralized we choose to be, and the more involved in the testnet process and kind of the growth process of these new directions, the more they tend to want to reward us with funding to do that. So more to come with that, but some real exciting directions with Avalanche. Really love what they're doing right now.
Awesome. Thank you both. Jumping back to Hubert for a moment, any thoughts on having a PvP version, basically with like loner heroes where it's free to play to give people a taste of the game?
Yeah, for PvP, that's a little bit harder to do because you need an opponent. And if that were like too prevalent, then people may not, play the actual PvP feature. So I'm not sure that I'd support that too much. But with that said, just reminding something that we've mentioned before about patrols is that we do have a kind of tutorial mode planned with that, where you'll be able to come in without any assets at all and just be able to play with kind of like pre-selected heroes and see what the patrols experience is like as well. So that, like, for getting somebody into the combat experience, I think, with PvP, it's already kind of expected that you understand what's going on. You have an opponent that's waiting for you to make decisions, and you kind of understand how most of the skills work and how your heroes work. So I don't know that really solves the issue of like giving people a taste. It kind of throws them over the deep end, I would say. Whereas patrols is going to, let you start right at the beginning, where you only have one skill per hero and you're fighting pretty easy enemies, and just seeing what the turn-based combat is like with all the status effects and things. So I think that'll address what the question was asking for better than like a free PvP mode.
There's no dipping your toe into PvP. It's full submersion in Submersia. Awesome. We're actually going to jump back to Sunbear for a second and give Hubert another break. I think I'm spoiling Hubert this AMA, but that's okay. We're going to make up for it. So with market sentiments shifting, let's say, and things growing, any thoughts from our side on the possibility of expanding the team?
Yes, we're hiring 200 people this week. No, just kidding. Yeah, so this is something that if you've been around for a while, you know that we are constantly extremely thoughtful about, taking into account what are our resources, what is our income, who do we have on the team, how many do we have on the team, what needs do we have, what grants do we have with our main partners. As far as like what our plans are for the next piece of our build, what resources are needed there, how to prioritize, what the market's doing, bear market, bull market, just all of it. And we are constantly assessing this from multiple perspectives, from tokenomics committee to the main board of Kingdom Studios, to the game developers, marketing, everything. It's a constant balance that we're looking at, and trying to find a way to not only survive but thrive and build. And we've done that well. That's why we're still here, having really gone through years now of a bear market. But with this turn, it does give us new opportunities to assess like what is possible, and we're not going to stop assessing that just because we're coming into hopefully a much better market for this coming year. And I think a lot of it depends on, what our resources look like. We have goals of building up our treasury and really increasing that runway, and continuing to, solidify and strengthen the strong, amazing relationships that we have, so we can capitalize on those communities and partnerships, but also creating new opportunities as well. You've seen us, come out with ideas like Mythic Swap, and have to, step back a little bit from it, because we had other bigger opportunities specifically for the game, like PvP, that we're really focused on right now. So it's a moving target. It's something we're always thoughtful about. My hope is that, that we will be able to put more resources into development, but we're going to do that cautiously. And I can't speak for the board specifically, but from a business development perspective, always looking for that next partnership or deal or grant that's going to help us move forward in the best way and the quickest way. So Kind of a general answer, but just know, constantly assessing and being thoughtful as we navigate these crypto Web3 gaming waters.
A beautiful answer, if I say so myself. Thank you, Sun Bear. Jumping back over to Hubert. Any thoughts on when excuse me, when we can expect the retroactive hunt rewards?
It's still going to be a bit. Like, we really are super duper focused on PvP content right now and content on metas. So like, it's pretty tough to juggle everything that's being juggled at the moment even. But once there is more of an opening, I think that'll be something that will be pretty high on the priority list. But yeah, I'd say probably not before most of what we are doing with PvP is in place. So it still will be a bit, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thoughts on overhealing in combat and like with the prediction, I guess showing like a per hero prediction for what they will actually gain from that heal?
So I think right now it does show a prediction if it's like a single target, or even if you do like the 3 target, like whatever one you clicked on, it would show. Which with healing, I guess is maybe the question is like, should it show less if it's gonna heal more than their max HP or something like that? I guess that's something that we could potentially do, but I think with healing, it generally, if you do a group heal, you're generally going to see a similar amount of healing on each of them. So like, even seeing one prediction should give you a sense about the other ones, unless you get like a critical heal. So yeah, I think it would be better for not just healing, but also like multi-target attacks as well, if we could have the prediction window include more of the targets. We don't have that right now, and that would be a pretty big upgrade. I think something that's maybe already on Beetle's list, but it's pretty far down there just because of how much effort it would be to implement.
Awesome. Thoughts on patrols before or after durability and divine essence?
I'd say it's likely to come out before at this point. We're still working through everything right now, but with the amount of effort that's going into patrols and versus like the divine essence and everything, I'd say it's pretty likely that we're going to see patrols first. So there's going to continue to be a period of time where you guys will get to keep using your equipment without it wearing down, but that time is coming soonish. So, enjoy it while it lasts.
Absolutely. Is it intended for Hunter's Mark to apply bleed from the gore bow?
Yeah, I think we had set a rule of it being that you had to do damage to do status effects. So that may not be intended, but I think I also need to double check and kind of circle back on that, make sure I'm not crazy, and maybe we did decide that it was an okay thing to do. But I think the other skills that don't do damage do not do that, so it may just be like a bug. So I'll dig into that a bit more, and we'll figure out one way or the other.
It shall be researched. Let's see. Giving Hubert another break for a moment. I'm going to take the next one, and then I got one for Fox. School safety patrol Vizzy incoming. I actually love this idea, and we'll see what happens. We'll have to talk to SBD, but I do think it would be hilarious to see a bunch of heroes patrolling the streets of the Coliseum in their neon sash and belt as the safety patrol. Let's see. Over to Fox. Regarding the dev state of mind with a new tutorial system, if 1 is building tutorials is the most boring thing ever, and 10 is building tutorials is my most favorite thing to do, where do you feel like you are?
This is a loaded question. everybody loves building tutorials. That's why we have so many. That was a little bit of a joke, but I think we've actually talked a lot about tutorials internally over the past since we started, basically, because we do have a very complex app, and it's like really complex by design. Like it's not just one of those little flash in the pan projects, but it's like this is a big thing we're building, and there's a lot involved with it. So when it comes to tutorials, it's like, where do we start? There's a lot there. What do we prioritize? And what we've looked at prioritizing and have been prioritizing over the past couple of years is onboarding. Like, how do we convert somebody who hears about us? Maybe they like search for us over on Google and they find our website and they see our game. How do we convert that person to actually be in the game and playing and have some fun? And so to that end, we've invested a lot of time and resources into lowering the barrier of entry. We've been working with Holiday to make smart accounts really easy and accessible, so that you can create an account with just an email or any of those things that they offer there, and then having it set up so that there's easy on ramps, so that you can use a credit card to have like a little bit of gas and get started, or have like enough to hop over onto our tavern and get a hero. So that has been our main focus. It's less about necessarily the whole tutorial process up until now, but we're at a point now where we've got some really fun, really cool, easily accessible gameplay, especially with scrub hunts that are coming out. And I think Hubert even alluded to that there's a sort of I don't know if he called it tutorial, but it's sort of like an example fight that you can do with that. Hubert, what was that called again? I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would call it like a tutorial,
Okay.
Basically. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a sample fight for free. So I mean, you have to figure it out still, kind of, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be huge. Like somebody who just like, hey, this looks interesting. I'm going to go check it out. Oh, there's this thing I can just hit play and start to fight and choose abilities, and it really sort of like has the ability to just like let them experience our game, see how fun it is, and then it's like, okay, now I'm going to actually want to create an account because it's actually fun. And so I think those things will help a lot. And then as we go, it's like sort of looking at where is our current bottleneck in the funnel of like having a like user become a actual player. So we analyze that and we say, okay, here's the bottleneck right now, let's fix it. And then after that's done, then we reanalyze it and see, okay, where's the next part that could be addressed? And it's going to be an ongoing process, and we'll always be changing. But that's sort of where our minds are at. And hopefully that answers that question.
Ooh, can I jump in on this one too?
Yeah.
This is something I'm honestly super excited about right now, because we have, like Fox said, really tried to identify what are some of those barriers, what are some of those bottlenecks. Account abstraction was a big improvement. Just finding ways to, early on it was the cost of heroes, and there's so many more heroes in the ecosystem they're affordable. Finding different ways to play the game. The more we develop, the more ways there are to play, and like now hunts and PvP and things like that. And even when we were doing this partnership agreement with Metis, we asked them to sponsor hunts, because at that point it was the best way to learn the combat engine, to learn how to build a team of heroes and to battle. But the reality of it is, it's also a boss fight. It's also very difficult. You have to kind of figure out the pieces of it to be successful and pull together the right team and everything. So with patrols coming out, we've identified a piece of the game loop that hadn't been really addressed yet. It's now the opportunity is for someone totally brand new that knows nothing about our gameplay to come in, like Fox was saying, to even play a free version of it, to just get the feel for, oh, this is turn-based style gameplay. This is the kind of teams you put together. This is what the pixel art looks like, just to get a basic feel for it. And you can jump in and start earning rewards at even like level 1 heroes, which is a very low barrier to entry. And so you've seen lately, and you'll see more, like our focus has been on getting the word out there to new communities, new parts of the world, new guilds, because it's not just, exciting tournament style gameplay that's coming, but that's even very, like boss fight, like very complex. It's now a feature that anybody can walk into and basically just grind and have fun. So it's, in my opinion, this is a huge game changer for player acquisition and building up the player base that we really need for very successful multiple tournament gameplay. And we're going to really lean on like our ambassadors, like Spike and Wayfinders and YGG and other guilds to utilize this feature to help us do a lot of game like player growth, if that makes sense. So yeah, super excited because I think we are identifying one of those barriers and bottlenecks that has been needed for a while.
Yeah. Also something that I'm super excited about, I'll just add to that and say also, we've talked about this many times before, but our realistically, like our marketing budget was very, very limited historically because we were focused on development and survival. Part of the Metis grant includes a marketing portion, and so that's enabled us to already begin doing things that we've never been able to do before, and that's not going to stop. So we also are going to be able to take advantage of opportunities that we have historically not necessarily been able to take advantage of. So really, really excited for that. Sunbear and myself have actually been working on a few things the recently, not just us, but he's up here with me, Dreamer and Starcat as well. And really everybody to just one extent or another. But we've got a lot of ideas, got a lot of cool things that we want to do. And I'm really excited for what that's going to translate to. Along those lines, I had a question roll in that I'm going to snag in real time. Hubert, I don't know if you know the answer to this off the top of your head, so sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm going to do it anyway. The like trial tutorial mode for patrols, will it be available prior to even connecting a wallet?
Yes, that is the plan. So should like any new person who comes to our website would be able to access it, and no wallet required, no anything required. You won't get any rewards either, but you will be able to test out the combat system with some pre-selected heroes and pre-selected skills and pre-selected enemies.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Let's see. With patrols coming, any thoughts on the weaponsmith and armorsmith vendors on Metis?
Yeah, eventually I would like that to be something that can happen. With the equipment shops, the weapon and armorsmith, our plan is to make them kind of be migratory, similar to how the stone carver works, so that there's only one ever available, but they are either traveling or they're in a specific location for a while. So that's kind of been a plan, but not something that we're going to be doing in the short term. It takes some time to implement that, and we have other bigger priorities at the moment. So for the time being, and I think for the it should be kind of a while, they're just going to be there in Crystal Vale, which means I guess there could be opportunities for people to import some equipment over into Metis and sell them there, or I guess otherwise people would if they want to spend their own gold, they'd need to go to Crystal Vale to buy them there and then bridge them over if they're doing it for PvP or patrols.
And once that day comes, anticipating those vendors still using gold in other locations as well?
Yeah, they would use gold. They would hold their price levels at where they were when they left. So like they would still be like a uniform like pricing system that does, like the dynamic pricing would be maintained across their transitions to different realms. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Also, now that we are looking at patrols, any thoughts on reworking mining quests to give minerals potentially used for crafting instead of gold rewards?
So yeah, I've always kind of been planning on mining and having more options besides gold mining. But it also has kind of been predicated on us being into a place where we have a crafting system. Like if we did it now, it would still be a pretty good long while before we actually get to crafting. So they would just be like new tokens that don't have a purpose being minted, which we do try to avoid doing too many more of that sort of thing. I mean, we do have some tokens now still that don't have uses yet, kind of pages, but the that will be something that we will do. I don't know if it will mean that like gold mining will go away per se, but it may just become an alternative option where you would be mining for specific ores for crafting purposes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Any thoughts on level cap increase?
You guys ask me that every week. No, it's so much work. There's so much that would need to happen, and we have so much that I think we need to do now. And I would rather be in a stable state where we can have an end game state now, and be able to focus on like more combat experiences, more classes implemented. And like things being more balanced now in the state we are versus like the mountain of work that would come by raising that level cap. And that mountain of work is like maybe the highest for this first level cap increase. When we go to like higher caps beyond that, it becomes less of an issue because even increasing the level cap once, it means that basically we have to have every skill implemented for every class that's implemented. So once that's done, then the kind of going to the next thing up, I think the only thing that changes is you might be able to get the capstone ability, which I don't think you can get, or maybe you could get at level 30.
You should.
I don't think you can. I think you have to get a level 6 first, or like one of the 10 pluses or 10s. So I don't think you can. So anyway, so yeah, basically there's just so much work that goes into especially this first level cap increase that I think it would be a pretty big use of our resources for a very long time, and I don't think now is the time for us to be making that move.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Are there plans to add stamina usage to patrols at a later date? And as a kind of secondary part of that, if it's not technically feasible to implement stamina on metas currently, thoughts on allowing players to burn stamina vial or vials to be able to do more patrols? So kind of still the same functionality, just sans stamina.
So yeah, I don't know that we'll go as far as like bringing stamina over to metis. I mean, it is possible to do, but it also would just make heroes heavier. We maybe need to use more storage, which would mean more gas every time anyone uses their heroes. So like, and we'd have to kind of adjust from what we've already built, which is also a decent amount of work, and we have to be really careful when we do that. So I don't know that it is something that we really need to do at this time. And just using kind of a limited number of times that you can do patrols kind of achieves the same effect as using stamina, except it lets you do like them all at once rather than needing to do it at 3 different times in the day. So yeah, I don't know that we're gonna adjust that per se. As far as the question about using stamina potions to let you do more patrols, that might be something that we'll look into. It's something we've been kind of talking about. At the moment, you can't, and there are some considerations about that that would, I think we need to discuss further before we would commit to doing it. But I think there is a realm where it happens, but I think there's also a realm where it does not. So it's something we're discussing though. So anyway.
Awesome. I'm going to try to hit you with a couple others that should be pretty quick, and then we'll wrap up for the day and save the rest for next week. It seems the critical trait does not affect heal. Thoughts on having the critical trait affect heal?
Yeah, I can think about that some more. Right now, critical healing is its own separate thing, and the critical aim ability is the flavor of that is that you're improving your aim at your enemy. So making it also impact critical healing is kind of weird to me. I mean, I guess it makes it a little bit more useful for healers if we did do that, but I'm not sure that. I'm not sure. I'll think about that some more.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any updates or thoughts on next codex release?
So I don't know if this is asking about just the next skill codex, like we released Summoner previously, and they want to know what the next one is, or when that next one's going to come up. In game. If it's in game, yeah, that's not yet. I think once we get the pet combat bonuses done, then we'll probably have our resources shift over to doing the next class shortly after that. And we have made some pretty good progress on the pet combat bonuses. But right now we're kind of all hands on deck on getting patrols done. So until that is finished, I think it's going to just be a little bit paused.
Awesome. Thank you. And one last one. Any thoughts on win patrols?
As soon as we get it done, I guess. We are working really hard to get it all finalized. The majority of all of the skills have. I think there's just one. There's one left that SVD is banging his head against the wall on right now to get VFX for. The rest all have VFX. Implementing them in the combat engine. I think we're 2/3 of the way done at this point. And then the last phase is just balancing everything. We've already done a few balance changes to start, just based on like changing HP and like attack and spell on those enemies. But it's going to kind of depend on how quickly we can work through all the kinks, and also the contract integration with the front end and everything that is still progressing as well. So there's still things that we need to work through. Once we get that all worked through and feel like it's in a great state, then that'll be when we'll release it. But it's kind of hard to say specifically because something can happen to like throw that off. So I'm just gonna say we're working really hard to get it done, and we're making a lot of good progress. So.
Perfect. I love that answer. Awesome. So we will begin our wrap up here, do some final thoughts, and then I am going to have Sunbear give us a bullish here at the end. I guess first for me, thank you as always for everybody who is tuned in live. Thank you to everybody who watches this later or listens to this later as well. Preemptive shout out to Winston for probably doing a write-up for this. Always appreciated. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions for us to answer. You can submit your questions in the AMA questions channel in Discord or at talk.defykingdoms.com. Don't ape into broken mechanics. Thank you all for joining us. Obviously, we will be back prior to the holidays, but I will just preemptively go ahead and wish everybody a happy holidays as well as they are coming up. Two quick things. One, because chat just reminded me, thank you, chat, and Daz specifically. The 121 days of Honksgiving has begun. So there is a honk daily raffle in Void Hunts right now. Shout out and thank you to Team Goose for sponsoring that raffle. It is always very, very much appreciated. And I'm sure the 121 days was just a complete coincidence and not based on any other activities at all. But huge shout out to them. So currently, our hunters can win Crystal, Metis, and Honk from doing their daily hunts, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Team Goose, again. Thank you, Metis, as well, for that sponsorship. Also, we mentioned earlier a couple of times Spike and the Wayfinders. Spike is going to be joining Sergeant Filthy McNasty on a Candor Gander tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune in there as well if you are available. Should be a really great show. Sarge always does a phenomenal job. So really looking forward to that one as well. And come hang out, listen to him talk to Spike, get to know Spike more. Should be a really good time. With that, I will pass over to Fox for any final thoughts.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, a lot of just the same thing as what you said. That very, very grateful. Obviously, we just had Thanksgiving, and it's a time to count your blessings. And I feel like I've been very blessed to work with this team. There's a lot of great people here. Also, very blessed to work for this amazing community. All of you guys are amazing, and just want to say thanks to everyone there. And we've got an amazing thing we're building, an amazing project, and really excited to see what lies in store in the future. Like, it's been an amazing journey so far, and there's still a lot of really cool things to come. So I'm really stoked about that. I guess that's pretty much it. There's a lot of fun things we're building. It's always fun to be able to wake up every day and work on really cool things. Did you want me to pass the mic to someone else?
Either way, Hubert's next.
Okay, go ahead, Hubert.
Well, let's see. I don't want to just echo everything that's already been said. So, it's always a busy week for us every week, and we're always doing a lot. And I know sometimes it might seem like it's taking a while for us to get things done, but I sincerely hope that you guys will be very impressed with the patrol system when it's out. I think it's going to do great things for the game, and it is a step in a direction I didn't think we were going to be able to take so soon. But it is, in my mind, like one of the most important pieces that we've needed to like kind of get to where we can get to a final gameplay loop for the whole game and everything, all the different things that you can do. I think this piece is going to be super important, and it's also really fun to work on. And it's great to see all of our team kind of embrace it and get into all the work and get it done. And a lot of really good creative juices were flowing too. So just getting very excited to be able to share that with y'all.
Thank you, sir. And over to Sunbear to close us out.
All right. Well, real quick, I will be on with Six Intern. He moved his show to tonight at 10 Eastern, and it looks like DFK Elite will also be there. So come and hang out with us. Come chat with us. Have some fun. And basically just want to, I don't know, as we exit this year and enter this new year, it's a new time for DFK. It's a time when our player base is going to grow, and we've set it up to really help make this happen. So I'm asking each of you to be thoughtful about that, to go into Discord with that mentality of seeing new people, helping new people, bringing in new people, getting them to patrols. You're going to see a lot more opportunities. I forgot to mention before, we're working with some partners to really bring in some more tutorial opportunities, some quest opportunities, rewards for new gameplay, and opportunities with big guilds and things like that could be real game changers. So as a community, as a team, just really thinking that in that growth mentality of, this year is when we grow things so that our tournaments just become huge. And like I said, we've said before, in this AMA, patrols is one of those links to that big growth. So let's all bring like 100 new people to play and have fun in this venture. And with the economy moving the way it is, with the game developing the way it is, it's a very, very bullish time. So guess what, guys? I am super, if you can't hear it, bullish.
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 Thank you all, and we will see you next week.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.